What up, guys, and welcome back to Summer Lunch Break. For today's episode, we sit down with five-time world champion, four-time Wakeboarding Mag Full Scope rider, X Games gold medalist, and 2021 Nautique Masters winner, Guenther Oka. Guenther shares his story on how wakeboarding grew from a hobby to a rather successful career, what it's like pushing the limits in both boat and cable riding, as well as the riders in the industry that he looks up to most. He also shares his top 3 tips and tricks for hydrofoiling, his favorite features on his 2021 Axis A24, and his best moments with the AWS crew. Grab some grub and listen up. It's Guenther Oka.
You know what I'm really scared about is if the wakeboarders get too close to shore, they may use some people on the shore as bonking items.
Guenther Oka, welcome to Summer Lunch Break.
Howdy, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So excited you are here. First question of the day, I have to ask. I know it's not lunchtime now.
Bring it on.
What did you have for lunch today?
So we had a little bit of a later breakfast lunch. So we did some eggs, some veggies, all wrapped up in a little tortilla, and I'd say that was it. Then I had an apple on top. So that was kind of like a brunch lunch, whatever you want to call it. That was good though. Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
What'd you have? Hey, what'd you have for lunch though? You pack lunch?
Yeah. I did pack a lunch. I am the queen of packing
bomb
lunches. I had a quesadilla today.
Oh, word up. Did you bring the press to work and everything? Or just
no, I made it. I just microwaved it, but it's still bomb, the next day.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Alrighty, let's get started. We want to, before we get ahead of ourselves, we got to start at the beginning. I want to know what your first wakeboarding experience was like.
So my first wakeboarding experience started at a very young age, almost like further, further than I can even really remember. So I was about like 3 and a half. We were actually doing a family vacation down at Anna Maria Island on the west coast of Florida. And we had just come from the Masters water skiing and wakeboard tournament. And that was where my dad picked up our first wakeboard essentially, but they had been going to the Masters even before that. So they were aware of it, but they're diehard water skiers. So they picked up a wakeboard at Masters, and then we drove down to Florida to just do like family vacation down there. And so while we're on the beach, my dad kind of tied together, he took like 2 ends of PVC pipe, one that he could hold on to, and then one that I could hold on to.
Oh my gosh.
Sets me in these like little boots, or the boots are like up to my knees. I'm 3 and a half. And my mom kind of keeps my board up, and then my dad runs down the beach pulling me. And so that's technically the first time I ever rode a wakeboard. And then the Masters happens in Memorial Day, so we went back home to the lake house on the weekends that summer, and just kind of kept picking away at it. And so that's kind of around my first memories, I think, of that.
Way cool. Oh, that's so fun. I love it. What so you obviously got started really young, but what age did you start riding professionally?
Professionally I will go with 2015 on that, because that was the first year that I entered like a pro cable event and made my first podium. So to me, that was like a nice pro, kind of my breakout rookie year on the cable. And then, I started with getting contracts as like a professional rider in 2016.
Way cool. Was that just like, oh my gosh, wow, it's happening? Or, what were emotions like when that stuff kind of started rolling your way?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been a part of it now for, 5 or 6 years almost. And so, I've forgotten almost that feeling of being a Grom, and I never thought I'd be here to say that, but so actually today I uploaded a video to my YouTube, one of my a throwback video of one of my earlier edits and stuff. So, and as I was going through some stuff, I was going through an article, and I remember and I was reading it. It's my whole thing was I wanted to make such a point to all the sponsors that picked me up that I was I was a value to their company,
Yeah.
and that I was worth the investment that they made in me. And so, but even before all that, it was definitely about fun, just spending time on the water. Even growing up, it was not even just about wakeboarding. It was water skiing, slalom, jump, kneeboarding, trick
Yeah,
skiing,
yeah.
double trick skiing, barefooting, everything. So a lot of fun was involved with all of it.
Yeah, awesome. Did you ever see it as a career? Like as you were kind of getting into it, was it like this is what I'm gonna do? Or was it more of like, well, I don't know if I can actually get there? Did you see it more like a career or a dream almost?
I think before, so the cable park Wake Nation Cincinnati opened up at my house around 2010 or 2009. And so I think before that point, obviously I was really young. I was like only 10 years old probably when it opened. So, before 10, not even a thought of being a professional wakeboarder. Even I'd say for the first 3 to 4 years of me like riding at the park, there wasn't really a thought of that being on the radar. Obviously I idolized a ton of riders and looked up to that, but like that I thought I was going to be there. It really just wasn't that realistic because like being in Ohio, like we were only as good as the next best rider at our park,
Correct.
which wasn't like anything crazy at the time, but we did have a really good scene of riders too. So as I got older, it all progressed along with it, like in a
Yeah.
kind of organic way, I guess.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Do you feel like, it sounds like you've grown up doing water sports your whole life. Do you ever
Totally.
feel like maybe you missed out on some other life experiences because you were so committed to the sport?
No, because every single year, like when I would go back to school, like grade school, and it would be like, hey, do you like my parents were like, do you want to play football or whatever, like basic,
Hmm.
like, one ball sport like you would play? And it was like, well, do I have to miss time at the lake? And it's like, well, probably. It's like, no, I don't want to
I
be a
don't want
part
to
of
do
that.
it.
So, yeah, I mean, and not only that, but like my extended family, my cousins, aunts, uncles, we had like a family lake house, and then my parents, we had
Nice.
our own on the same lake. So it was like all the family was together. And then in the winter, I just went snow skiing and snowboarding. I grew up in Ohio, so
Yeah,
like in
yeah.
Cincinnati. So where there was a ski resort just like 30 minutes away as well that I grew up going to all the time. So it's just, yeah, I've been a diehard, like
Good.
I guess action sports like
Yeah,
fan
yeah.
ever. So just
Since
yeah.
the start. Love it.
Hmm.
Awesome. Way cool. All right, we'll shift a little bit forward now, bump it up a bit. You kill it in both cable and boat riding. Not a lot of riders can say that. If you had to pick one that you could only do for the rest of forever, would it be boat or cable?
Right now, it would definitely be boat.
Okay.
Over the years, it's shifted. The past couple of years has been like, oh, cable for sure. That's like my thing. And then uh, I would say as of like the last half of last year and then this year, I would be more committed to the boat. I am more committed to the boat, but I even have just found much more enjoyment out of getting behind the
Yeah.
boat again as well. So
Yeah. What aspects of boat riding kind of, have shifted you over there a little bit more?
it's definitely a lot of just, as I've progressed through my cable riding and found a lot of success there, I felt like I've hit a little bit of a ceiling and just I've having a hard time breaking through that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like checking a lot of goals off the list that,
Hmm.
5-time cable world champion, 5-time national champion, like Munich Mash Feast, like checking off, I never got around to Plastic Playground as a win, but like checking off some of these like huge international events is like, all right, done deal. Like, let's move on kind of to the next thing. And
Hmm.
so for me, that's boat. And then not only that, but like I've just found a better way to like express my riding behind the boat more so than at the cable. And then
Yeah.
getting involved with like double ups and re-entries and that, and just in general, the way that like the line, I'll get nerdy here, but like the way that the line tension works with double ups and re-entries is something that you almost can't find at the cable park. And
Mm,
so that aspect has a lot of room to grow as well, I think.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't think anyone thinks that a double
So
up is nerdy or being hyped on one is nerdy. So you're
the
good.
real technical aspect of it, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
No,
that's where I
that's
found it.
dope, dope. Well, I want to ask, well, maybe you do favor boat a little bit. Do you have anyone who rides cable in particular that you kind of look up to a little bit and, just kind of follow more closely than some other riders?
Yeah, like Pedro Caldas, he's a Brazilian rider. He's been like just getting filthy with all of his cable riding recently. And then there's a ton of Europeans. There's like the whole squad. It's like Lemonade Normal is their Instagram handle. Absolutely check them out. They've got like the craziest like GoPro filming session. So it's like Sam DeHaan, Liam Ronhos, and like a couple of those guys. And then obviously like in the States, Trent Stuckey, the Stuckey brothers in Florida have been going off the charts with their riding. So, you know, it's like, as I've taken a step back a little bit from cable riding, watching them come to like the riding that everyone's come to has been like super unreal. And it's definitely like kind of puts the heat back on of like, all right, you're going to have to like eventually like step up again and like kind of catch back up. So it's been super fun to watch though. And like always inspiring.
Awesome. That's way cool. I think it's always cool, especially even for me to hear it, for people listening to hear, just like even these people that are at the absolute top of their game, killing it in everything they're doing, like they still have people that they're, you know, they're watching. They're like, oh, I want to be like that guy. Like that's way cool.
Totally,
way cool.
totally. And like I've always,
No, you go. What's up?
I've always gathered inspiration though, like as you know, where my riding fits in from like a lot of the older generation of like rail riders. So that's, you know, like Rafterum, Nico, Felix, a lot like Rafi, Chris O'Shea, like a lot of those guys is where my writings kind of like come from. So the sport and cable's changed a lot as well. So it's like just trying to find a place to fit in, I think.
All right. In the sport as a whole, who is your biggest inspiration?
So, you know, what makes a professional these days is definitely different, it seems like, than what it was in the past, right? So someone who like inspires me now, I think it's actually is Brian Grubb. That guy is awesome. He has completely found ways to reinvent himself time after time, bring value to every single sponsor that he rides for. And, you know, really he's created an amazing career out of what he's done by just continually reinventing himself and like having that stoke, giving back to the sport, judging, doing the Malibu Just Ride events. And like, so, you know, when I see someone, it's like, okay, I want to do what he's doing. And, you know, cause he's 30, high 30s, I think. Like I want to be doing what Grubb's doing in however many years, you know? From like just an industry icon and standpoint, like it's so amazing. And like Murray and a lot of these guys who have, you know, made these amazing careers out of what they've built is like inspiring that someone like myself can do the same thing with like the same amount of work. And then, you know, from a rider standpoint, there's so many unbelievable riders too, who like inspire me daily. Like you scroll through the Instagram feed and it's outrageous who it is, but from just, you know, big, like from a industry and just awesome career standpoint, it's a couple of those guys for sure.
Very cool. Well, shout out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Grubby, foil master, and like good homie of mine too. So it's pretty fun.
Love it. Awesome. Sweet. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. We've talked a lot about, you know, these other great riders, people you look up to. Well, there's a lot of people out there that look up to you and think you're a badass because you are. So we want to touch on the fact that one, you're a 5-time world champion. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. You've done so much that it's a little overwhelming to me to make sure I get everything right.
Right.
But needless to say, you've got quite a few dubs under your belt, and we just want to talk about a few of them. The first one I want to touch on, we have to talk about the Masters.
The Masters, correct.
Tell us about it. Congratulations, by the way. That is way wicked cool. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's hear what that experience was like.
Yeah, so, you know, almost going back to like kind of the first question of where it all started is essentially like at Masters. Like that's an event that my family, like my mom and dad have been attending for 20, I'm about to be 23, so 22 plus years now. They've been going to this event for and been bringing me along with it. I've only missed one because I had to do like X Games in 2018, but I've been to every single one. I've been to three now as a competitor, and then the rest is all as just like a spectator, as a fan. So the event just in general is like super special because it's, you know, what I've been growing up going to and like has been the, you know, the standard, or like just set the bar so high. So coming into this year, it was a little different because normally we go to Australia for Moomba Masters, and that kicks off the event. It kind of sets the tone for the beginning of the year. So without having that, Masters in Georgia was our first event of the year. So I had definitely been putting like a lot of pressure on the event on myself to just come out with a bang and like,
Yeah.
change my mindset and kind of how I've been approaching events this year and come into it swinging. And so it's also one of the hardest events of the year because it's the narrow field of 10 guys. And then to get into the final, it's 2 5-man heats with the top 2 riders going. So it's quite a cutthroat
Totally.
heat to get through. So to make it, and my heat was so ridiculous. It was Massey, Ty, Shota, myself, and then Nick Rappa. So it was like, I mean, you could have just taken those 5 riders, put us in a heat, and like that's the final of the event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to get through that round was like more relieving than anything. That was my first pro final. And then the next day came and it was awesome. The conditions were great. There we had a ton of spectators show up, and just I was first off the dock too. So, I got to go out and just kind of set the bar and do my thing.
Totally.
And then I had to play my run a little bit safer in order to get to the double up, but then I connected on the double up, and just that was, kind of gave it everything I had really. And it was epic because like all my life I've watched riders like when they're done with the run whip into the beach and like, it's like everyone's like super stoked. Like I landed the double up and then got the beach, and then my fam was all there too. So like it was a super special moment. One that took a while for it to even like kind of sink in, but that definitely will be a memorable win for sure.
Yeah, for real. Congratulations again. That's way cool. It's cool that those dreams are, becoming realities. That's awesome.
Totally. Yeah. And like, a lot of hard work this winter to get there as well, but can't, and it's almost funny too, starting the year on that high of a note is like, whew, all right, gotta really keep it going
what's
this
next?
year. Like, totally.
No pressure or anything.
It's just the way it works sometimes. It's great.
Oh my gosh. You mentioned that you missed a Masters because you were participating in the X Games in 2018. You want to tell us about what happened then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll got to rewind a little bit to start that story too. So back in 2017, I received a phone call, midsummer of like, hey, one of the riders that's doing Real Wake, and Real Wake at this point had been around. This was going to be its 3rd year. One of the riders pulled out. Do you want to do it? It's like, can't say no to that. Schedule out the window. Let's go. And like had to scramble to find a filmer and just try to put a part together. And like, it was like 2 or 3 weeks or something kind of ridiculous. Like it was such a short amount of time. But, and so, with that in mind, I just didn't get the full effort and like potential that I could have to like put something together. But what was even better is that as 2018 rolled around, they gave me another phone call. Cause a lot of guys, if you don't win it that first year, if you don't win it in the year, you win it, you get the invite back, and then they don't repeat riders. So the fact that I got this invite back was like, all right, dude, you got a second chance. Like, don't mess it up, kind of. And so, and not only that, but I got to link up with my filmer of choice, Taylor Hanley. He's one of my great friends, and just like, we've worked together on so many different projects. So he flew down to Orlando, and it was it was difficult because I was juggling sponsor events and contests in between it. But we pretty much just put our heads down and went to work, winch spot after winch spot. And then I think we crushed all the winch spots throughout the summer of 2018. I had to leave, go to a couple cable contests, and then come back and finish the boat portion of it. But as that all unfolded, like I ended up taking the win with just like one of my favorite video pieces of all time, really, in another stacked field, and got an X Games gold medal. And on like the so far it's the last X Games event that they've had. So we obviously wish that they would just have it every year, but got my foot in the door and have that little claim to fame. So
it's nothing little about a gold medal, bro. Just keep that in mind.
So it's cool. Super cool.
That's awesome. I also want to touch on winning the full scope, 4 years now running for Wakeboarding Mag?
I think it's 4 now. Yeah, I think it's 4.
I would love, that's a way cool award to win once, let alone 4 times. What does that mean to you to consistently be awarded kind of with that honor?
It's about just the full scope, right? You cover every aspect of wakeboarding or like water sports even.
Yeah.
And so, when I look at riders like back in the day and watch videos of that, it's like, the dudes who were the shit were the ones who were like crushing, like look at something like Parks Bonifay, right? Like creating his own double up event after having, or maybe even during having his own rail event, the carnival, and
Hmm.
developing Wake Lab. And he just really, was the pinnacle of like what a wakeboarder is, because it wasn't
Yeah.
a cable wakeboarder or a boat wakeboarder. You're just a wakeboarder. And so
Yeah.
that's what my whole thing's always been about. And like as the years have progressed, it's been harder and harder to maintain that level because, while I'm over here trying to get ready for the first boat event, all the kids are just shredding their faces off on cable doing their thing. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, got done with the boat event, going over to the cable. Like even last year we had cable nationals in Texas. And so it was like I made all 3 finals, and it was like I rode boat in the morning, and all the dudes who I'm riding boat with like, sick, weekend's done. I'm like,
Later.
oh, I gotta go ride again. And then like go ride traditional, go ride features only. So it's always just been like an awesome challenge though. And I think it's really helped keep my riding just have a little freshness to it, where the cable
Yeah.
transfers to the boat and the boat transfers to the cable. And it's just been like this super fun blend of riding, really.
Totally, totally. Do you ever, that's a lot to put yourself through. And I understand maybe, you do enjoy it, but do you ever have moments of like, man, like I'm tired and I don't want to do it. And how do you kind of overcome that and get through it?
Yeah. So even coming into this year, that's like been a bit of it is like, all right, and not only that, it's a unfortunate situation due to COVID and
Hmm.
cancellation of some of the cable events in the US this year. But in
Yeah.
return, it has given me a little bit more free time in the States to focus on my boat riding. But um in terms of overcoming it and like putting your head down to kind of do the hard work is like there's a certain point where the work sucks, but if you want the end result that bad, then you kind of have to just do it. I didn't
Yeah.
come up with that motto, but um it's something that I've kind of applied a bit because
Yeah.
it's from an outside perspective, pro wakeboarder is the best job in the world, absolutely is the best job in the world, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's like, is it is it worth it, is it this, is that? But at the end of the day, put your head down, you do it, and the results can be pretty unbelievable.
Totally. It's been really cool for me, especially to kind of talk to so many pros and really get a better understanding of like, it's not all just fun wakeboarding, like,
Yeah.
"Woo, whatever, let's take the boat out." It's so much more than that. And I think it's a really good reality check for everybody watching you guys perform the way that you do. And it's not just, they went out and won. It's a lot of work going into it. And I think as, I speak for myself and a ton of fans that we're very appreciative of the hard work you guys do to perform at the level you're at.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
And like
Oh yeah.
it's cool to gather inspiration from other like elite performers and
Mhm.
athletes. Like, wakeboarding is such a relatively small sport, so I take a ton of inspiration from snowboarders and especially surfing now, and even like other, like ball sports or like basketball, things like that. Like
Yeah.
there's so many amazing athletes out there that have like, paved the way essentially of like how to deal with like, the mental toughness of
Totally.
being able to excel and like put that all into work, and just helps kind of elevate your game continuously,
Yeah,
I think.
for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I was gonna ask, you're really into, snowboarding, so skiing. Does it feel like a hobby, or does it feel like, okay, if I'm not wakeboarding, I'm doing that because it's my other board sport?
Like with skiing and snowboarding, since I don't get to get out as much, it's definitely I try to. Yeah, well, it's a pretty leisure activity, but as soon as I strap in, it's like, all right, how sandy can we get? Like, what can
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do? But that's kind of also where like foiling and wake surfing or surfing out at the beach is like really come into play. It's like, yeah, I get out and do it, but like I'm like continuously looking at things to improve on in
Yeah,
every element. Like just I think it's a bit of my nature, kind of just, yeah,
totally.
110.
Well, we're gonna jump into another kind of question segment. I want to talk about some video edits that you've done that
Totally.
people have seen on your YouTube channel. First one I want to talk about is In the Meantime. I would love to
Yes.
kind of just touch on that video. Tell us a little bit about the experience, what it was like, balancing everything to make that video what it was? We'd just love to hear the story on that.
Yeah, thanks. That's definitely, it's my most recent, just like full length video, I guess. And as it came about, I think so it's actually pretty funny. We started filming that late 2018, actually, like after Taylor and I had got done filming X Games, and he came back down for Surf Expo, and it was like, all right, like, should we do another one, kind of? And we were all stoked and did it. And then yeah, so 2018 rolled around, and that's like, it was like right around September. We filmed for a long time, and then just Taylor had moved back to British Columbia. I was super busy in 2019, and we really just never got around to completing anything. But we had like we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough for a full part, but I had enough where I was like, this isn't going on Instagram because this is all too good for that, And so we waited, and we just kept waiting. And then early 2020, it was March, and we had just gotten back from Australia from Nautique Masters, and I flew Taylor down so we could just go and like, all right, we're gonna finish it. Like, we're gonna kind of put the nail in the coffin. And so just started. Yeah, we went out. He came in for like a week and a half or something. And the way that I've filmed in the past too is that I like to learn tricks, have them pretty dialed, and have like everything in mind, and then let's go out and film them. I'm not the biggest fan of like, I don't want to be wasting anybody's time, right? So it's like, very rarely will I like try to learn a trick on camera. I've done it for a handful of things, but like for this one, it was like, okay, I had that year and a half off, and it was funny too because I had learned so many tricks that I was like, oh, I gotta say that for the video. So I couldn't post anything on Instagram about it because I just like to keep it a secret. And so then I was able to like unleash it all. Taylor got some amazing shots of it, and then our filming was cut a little short due to COVID. He had to get back to Canada just to be safe about everything. But that's and then I filmed a couple other shots outside of that with like a couple other filmers, but then we were able to put it all together and just be stoked on, a full boat part with pretty much every trick that people really haven't seen me do. So this just brings a cool little like wow factor to it, I guess.
Yeah. Gosh, I bet that was hard holding all that back and not sharing it, because you're so stoked when you get something like that. And then it's like, oh, no, can't, I don't want to share it yet.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it was tricks that I did, like I said, I did it in 2018 and then almost didn't do it until even now, like 3 years later, where I'm like, okay, I filmed all that and everyone's seen it, so I can like film it again and do it now. So it's been pretty fun, like to be able to go back out and do those tricks for the camera or for Instagram or whatever.
For sure. Way cool. Well, the other one we want to touch on, very recently you uploaded the bridge epic foil session.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you get a chance to watch that?
Oh my gosh, all of us here were so stoked on it. I mean, we were all like, how did I do that? That's crazy. So yeah, we don't have any like low sitting bridges. We've got a massive bridge, like the highway, like right out back. We were like, we should go like foil through it and try and be as cool.
Totally.
So I would love, to talk about that. Not a lot of us have really seen foil edits that are, cool like that. So where did that idea come from?
Yeah, so maybe a year ago, I was helping Megan with a shoot over on that lake, and we were just running the boat on the outside of the bridge, and we were just she was trying to line up this like the one photo she got of it is like so sick. But so we're running outside of the bridge, and I really don't know what sparked the idea. It might have been just laying in bed before I fall asleep. It's like, let's do that. But it was finding the location too. So I think that spot kind of sparked an idea, and like we've been foiling a lot. And so I went and checked it all out, and drove over to the bridge, walked underneath it, and was like, I think this could work, and it's a public boat ramp. So we just dropped the boat in, and but I had to get a crew together as well. So I got Brian Grubb, Jeff Langley, Megan, Tyler Soden, the photographer, and then Shane Bonifay to come and film. And, really it was just something, it was an idea, and I didn't know if it was going to work. Was it going to be too sketchy to run, a 24-foot boat in between these concrete pillars? Maybe, like, are we going to be, since the foil rises, 2 feet out of the water, are we going to be hitting our heads on the concrete? Like, are we not going to
Did anyone hit their head?
Nope. No
Thank
boats
goodness.
were crashed, no foils were damaged, and no
Okay,
body
good.
parts were injured in the making of that. So, but you
Good.
know, like I have a little behind the scenes video I'm gonna drop on my YouTube as well in like a week, whenever. But
Nice.
it's the first go at it, and I'm driving in grubs foiling, and like I've got the camera on myself, and I'm just like, it's working, it's freaking working. Like, I'm so stoked, like I'm like frothed out, like so
Oh my
hard.
gosh,
But
that's sick.
but yeah, it was super cool to see that all come to life, and just like an idea that you have and something super fun to do, and just hopefully, and like kind of puts wake foiling in our crew like on the foil map a little bit. We've
Yeah,
actually got, like, Tyler came and shot photos, so we're gonna have an
nice.
actual print article in the
Oh,
newest
cool.
foiling magazine. Should be coming out, I think, on the 25th, so maybe in like a week and a
Way
half.
cool.
And
Okay.
then yeah, and then Shane was there to film everything, so I actually did the editing for that video
Nice.
after he filmed it all. And yeah, it was a blast for sure.
Way cool. I want to touch a little bit more on foiling with you, but I do have a special guest question
Oh, I was waiting
for
for this, to
you
be honest. Yeah. Yeah.
from someone I think you know rather well. It's your girl Megan. She would like to know what your favorite moment that you guys have shared together in Wake is.
Moment we've shared together in wake. Uh, we've had so many of them. We've been so fortunate, like, to be able to travel the world together and like just
Yeah.
have so much fun, like everywhere we go. Um, Definitely, some of our great moments have been like, I would say one of them that was so sweet was in 2017, where we both won masters, but I was a junior, but I
Yeah.
won junior masters and she won the pro women stuff. And
Mhm.
being so like excited for each other.
Yeah.
And then we've done a lot of really awesome like Red Bull things
Totally.
together as well. We've done some cool like performance camps where we kind of go through these super unique experiences and like get to share all of that together. And then yeah, just travel the world. We did like a wakecation that almost could be our best one yet. We're not even a contest, but like her and I just went to Thailand and we hit a couple of the different cable parks and then had some like
Yeah.
sick beach days and just really enjoy our time, like sharing the sport but not working too hard and actually getting to enjoy
Totally.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely like Masters or Thailand, I think, has been pretty awesome.
Way cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch, I have to ask because I talked to her not that long ago and she
Yeah.
told me, I mean, you asked the question. I would love to know what was going through your head when you asked her out on that date.
Uh,
If there was
probably nothing.
anything going on at all.
Probably just a bowl of mashed potatoes up there, like, no, I don't know. It was funny. I just was like super young and like we had been spending a lot of time together, and it was right before Valentine's Day, so I had to shoot my shot, like it was
Yeah.
kind of now or never, like the date, like the window's closing, so I had to ask it. But it was like I said, you probably heard the story. It was after like she had rode like terribly or something, and I was pulling her, but I was
Mhm.
like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Rejected.
Oh my gosh.
It all worked
Well,
out. But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
What a cool story. I really, when she told me that, I was dying. That is so funny, but also so freaking adorable.
it's
So
great. It's
yeah,
great.
you guys are awesome together.
Hey, thanks
All
so
right.
much.
We are jumping into our hot takes topics, which are just kind of fun, rapid fire questions, make you think a little bit. We're going to touch back on foiling. So this question's kind of, I called it foiling tips and tricks. Foiling's still kind of new. People are
Super
still
new.
kind of adapting to it. Like you said, it puts you guys on the map sharing videos like that. So what would you say to someone who's kind of like, I don't really know. I don't want to. If they're hesitant, what would you tell them?
Like kind of my first baseline recommendation is like, I don't want to advocate foiling to someone who's like an inexperienced water user in a sense. I really
Mhm.
do believe that you need to have like 2 years, 2 to 2 years minimum on like a wake surfer or a wakeboard before you get your hands on the foil.
Totally.
But also it's just, you really have to completely change your mindset. The way that you ride it is so different than wake surfing or wakeboarding. There's similar fundamentals, but you kind of have to think, you have to throw everything you know about those other sports out the window when you jump
Yeah.
on. but also be expected to have this feeling under your feet that is absolutely, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before.
Hmm.
And that is totally worth, the trial and error that it takes to figure it out. And it's a lot of patience, but once you get it dialed, change your life for sure. It's great.
Totally, totally.
Great.
I also, speaking of, getting it dialed, if you were going to give a newbie trying it for the first time, ready to tackle it, what would be 3, pointers or words of advice you would give them?
On any foil that you have, slide the mast all the way back in the track system. That'll just allow you to bring a lot more weight over the front of the board, over your front foot, and keep it down and keep it from being as sensitive. Use a long line, something along like 75, 80-foot line, and just go super slow. I like to kind of square my shoulders up, almost like perfectly in line with the boat. And then if you have the option for straps, I've been using straps a little bit more. It does help some. I've watched like a couple new foilers who have great like wake surf and wakeboard background use it with straps, and their success rate's like way higher. So I wasn't too sure about it, but now I think that might be like a move. But yeah, slide the mast all the way back, start on a long line, super slow speeds, maybe wear a helmet, and then if you got straps.
Yeah, especially if you're, maybe riding under a bridge.
Yeah, totally. It's great.
Alrighty, next up, you've been a huge part of events with us here at Active Water Sports.
Absolutely.
And we're forever thankful for that. We love having you around for events. We would like to know if you have any favorite moment working with Active.
Definitely I'm totally blanking on it, but the double up contest.
Oh yeah.
It was totally so much fun, even though it was the most like hectic and wild conditions I've probably ever wakeboarded in. Totally memorable, such a great time. And then every time I get to come out to the boat show, I love that. And then I know I've done a demo day on the Willamette too, getting ready for the contest. And so that like pretty much the Pacific Northwest holds a special place for me. I just love getting out there with the people, the scenery, the lakes, everything's so nice out there.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so nice to
you guys have kind of like taken me under my wing too. Or like, I mean, I've been coming out there since 2016, 2017 for quite a long time. So it's cool like where it's all gone since then.
Totally. Well, we're always happy to have you. You're always welcome.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right. We want to talk a little bit about Axis Wake.
Yeah.
So we'd love to touch on how you got started with them.
Yeah. It's been a long time in the making, actually. My relationship with, Malibu Axis kind of just started back in, I don't know, maybe 2018 or something. Taylor Hanley was like filming a lot of stuff for Alliance, and he was working closely, or he was doing the like Just Ride tours and stuff. So when I was coming out with a couple of these different videos and we were at Surf Expo, it was like, hey, like, team manager, like Brian, his name, like you mind come and watching the video and like see what you think, and it just wasn't really, I think, the right time for them or for myself actually. And as this road continues, I'm getting offers from a couple different sponsors or for a couple different boat companies, but just none of these sponsors really fit what I was looking for. And that was an affordable boat that is of the highest quality, that produces the best wake that I can perform on. Because growing up, I had a ski Nautique. Like my family, actually, we didn't even have a ski Nautique. It was our friend's ski Nautique that he left at our lake house. We were fortunate enough to use it. And so, growing up was like never on a sick wakeboard boat. It was just, maybe my buddy had like a 210 and like we would try to thumb down rides or just like, hitch rides wherever we could. So to maintain this like affordable aspect or like more entry level position on a boat to hopefully get more people involved in a water sports, or like, to knock off that, higher entry point, it to me is, what it's all about, because you get more people involved. And not only that, but Axis is absolutely the highest quality like wave, wake, and boat that you can get for that cost. So I kind of denied all these other contracts, and then in 2020 at the beginning of the year, we had started to just kind of work out a great deal, and then have it all go through. So yeah, been so pumped on these
Yeah.
guys for the past 2 years, really, year and a half.
Yeah, totally. If you were, gonna pick out some of your top features of the boat, your favorite things about it, what would those be? Give us like 3 of them.
I absolutely love just the analog dash analog dash
Mhm.
on the system. Like when I sit in the helm, my parents will come into town. I can tell my dad like he doesn't have to flip through like a outrageous amount of screens. It's just, hey, press this button, press that button, you're dialed.
Mhm.
So the simplicity of it, less to go wrong, is great. The
Yeah,
PTM clamping board racks, one of my
totally.
favorite. Those are kind of standard on the Malibu and the Axis, but definitely like just I can put so much stuff in there, go high speed down the lake, not have to worry about
Mhm.
it. And then the power wedge, those are just, it's such a game changer for how, we shape the wake when we're
Totally.
wakeboarding. Um, you know, I'll use wedge 2 when I hit a double up because it just gives it like this perfect like meaty consistency. But then when I'm
Mhm.
going wake to wake on stuff, it's like, oh, wedge 3 is the move. And then I'll have some
Right.
like more entry level riders, and it's like, well, we don't need the wake huge, but I want to beef it up a little bit. Okay, wedge 4, boom. And so the versatility that you get from that is like unmatched
Way
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, Axis, you've got other sponsors. I'd love to give you an opportunity to give them a shout out as we do on the show. So if you want to touch on any of those, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Liquid Force. They've been my board provider, board sponsor, boot sponsor, handle for, oh man, since 2014, I think.
Crazy.
Got on Flow as like a little regional rider. Like got my first
Yeah,
pair of boots from like the one sales rep in the Midwest, and it was hooked. And that was all I ever needed, and it's gone so far from there. And then
totally.
O'Neill as well for not only wetsuits, the best wetsuits and the best life jackets in the game, but also clothing too. They picked me up back in 2016 and have like fully believed in me and helped bring my ideas to life as a brand. So I
Yeah,
completely appreciate their support so much. And then Red Bull as well for just, they provide us with a platform to literally perform at our best all the time. And then my newest sponsor is Axis. So they give me the
yeah.
best boat ever to train on all the time. So
Way
literally
cool.
it's the best. Love
Yeah,
all these
that's
guys.
speaking of O'Neill making cool shit, the shirt you have on, I almost wore that today.
Wait, oh
We would have
yes.
been freaking, it's like one of my favorite
Yeah,
shirts, but
I didn't
yeah.
make it. Yeah, so yeah. Nice. It's great.
Yeah, we would have been matching. I wear that literally maybe once or twice a week, but
Nice.
it's a solid shirt. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Not at all. It's perfect.
I do before we're all done. You've been riding for Liquid Force for so long. I would like to kind of talk about that experience, what it was like getting started with them, and just how it's progressed over the years. If you want to give us a little insight on
Yeah. I think my biggest attraction to Liquid Force came at such a young age, like growing up at Wake Nation at the cable park, because every single year the free for all would come through. And for those you don't know, the free for all was a tour that Liquid Force did throughout every cable park, or just about every Liquid Force sponsored cable park throughout the United States. But that was the day when I got to go to the park and I got to try every single Liquid Force
that.
board.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's funny now because like, okay, I would make, it was like Bob and Harley, Bob Stove and Harley Clifford,
yeah.
um, Melissa Marquette, like a lot of these people coming, and I'm the kid. It's like, okay, I want to try this board. I want to try this boot with this board, and I like would ride everything, and then a couple years later, it's me setting up all the boards for people at at these events. But
Yeah,
so that was like my attraction in the beginning to them, and then just seeing like the camaraderie and the team that they always put together was just so elite and like had the most fun too, and that was like totally my thing. So when I joined on and just I started, helping with the photo shoots in Orlando when I was living down here, I would do, trips with like Neil Barker and stuff through the Pacific.
Neil, shout out.
Yeah, totally. That were specific to Liquid Force. And, just the way they kind of give back to the community has been awesome. But aside from all that, it's the product, right? The product is hands down the best, highest quality. Now Liquid Force has been the first to switch to 100% made by the sun for all of our wakeboards, wake
Yes,
surfers, compression boards.
very cool.
And yeah, their whole style is relentless innovation, right? And so not only does that show in the products, but it shows with like the team that they have and
Mhm.
inspires us to like kind of never stop really.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's
So,
awesome. That's cool to hear that, you've stuck with them. They've stuck with you. That's a
absolutely.
great relationship. And I know a
So
lot of
good.
people are definitely, your name is very, very affiliated with that brand. So it's cool
Yeah,
to see.
yeah. It's
Very cool to
the
see.
best. Yeah.
Well, all right. We've touched on everything I wanted to ask you about, what I think most people want to hear. So we are coming to the end of our lunch break.
Cool. Well, hope
We thank
everyone
you.
enjoyed.
Yeah. Very excited for this one to go live. Thank you so much for meeting with us and sharing your story. It was awesome.
Yeah, very welcome. Appreciate the time, you guys, and hopefully get back out Pacific Northwest sooner than later.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Awesome, guys. Well,
All
have a
right.
good rest of the day. Can't wait to see this one and enjoy the
Very
summer.
excited. Thanks, Guenther.
See ya.
Bye-bye.